And there we go. Episode 7. Special guest in today. We call them family nicknames, or you want to go by your real name?
Why don't you tell them both? Tell them both.
Tell them both. You could tell them.
Oh, I sure will. Hello, everybody. I'm Samara, a.k.a. Mimi, Blake's younger sister.
Got my sister in the building. But before we get too far into it, you know how we got to start it out? We got to start it out with them vibes. So we'll get that music going, and then we'll be right back.
Can't bite my tongue, say what I please. Diamonds dancing up my sleeve. Dropped out school just ain't for me, but I still know my ABCs. Pills of X, got O's and P's. Catching plays, you catching Z's. Trapping out the double tree, just counted up like 40 G's. Ace of spade, let's have a toast. That's $1 million dose. Run up bands and do the most. Still breaking bread with all my folks. Jewels every time I spoke. Zaza every time I smoke. Slept on floors when I was broke. Now I give all my people hope. Food for thought, go grab a fork. VIP look like the fourth. Beat first, I jumped off the porch. We slide on ops like it's a sport. Crack infested, racks invested. Count my blessings, learn my lesson. Odds against me, God was with me. Up a mid and buy a Bentley. Chop it with you, give you gain. You just like me, you feel my pain. Chop it with you, give you gain. You just like me, you feel my pain. Ace of spade, let's have a toast. That's $1 million dose. Run up bands and do the most. Giving game to all my folks. Ace of spade, let's have a toast. That's $1 million dose. Run up bands and do the most. I'm giving game to all my folks.
There we go. Episode 7.
My favorite number.
Ain't that something? You come on your favorite number.
Meant to be. God's number of perfection.
It is meant to be. So I got my special guest in today.
Yes.
I got my big head little sister on the show.
Not big head. I need you to give me like the beautiful, talented.
Oh, the beautiful, talented.
Illustrious.
You a red bone? You go by red bone? No red bone?
I'm not messing with that.
All right, well, we ain't gonna mess with that then.
All right.
Got Big Mimi in the house.
Hey, Mimi.
And this one gonna be a good episode because me and my sister, we debate on the daily.
Yes.
Every day.
And you lose.
I guess, if that's what she want to say. And you know what? I feel like this one is such a big one. Not only with the number 7, it being number 7, but also because my sister here, we gonna name this one Clash of the Titans. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good ring to it.
But see, I think I'm going to surprise you
How you gonna do that?
with what I have to say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think you're going to be surprised.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe not. We'll see.
You might surprise me. This may be an ambush, or I feel like I may be about to get backdoored or something, but we'll find out.
Maybe.
Because the one thing that I feel is the first thing that we should jump into, because we're going to talk about major things that clash with each other. Mm-hmm. Not only us, but just in life in general. And I feel like one major thing that always seems to pop out in our scenario, like with our family, and it may be with like other families and things like that, especially with today's culture, I feel like I always come to myself with the question of, does masculinity still have a place within family units? I feel like that sense of masculinity is slowly getting drowned.
Right. Okay. Well, my thought on it is yes, it does. I think it absolutely does. Families can look many different ways. I think that's the first thing. I think a lot of the time people think that a family has to look a certain way, which is a man and a woman, children, whatever the case may be. But, you know, us growing up, we rarely saw 2-parent households. We mostly saw single mother households. That was the case for our family. That was the case for our cousins, so on, friends, so on and so forth.
Right.
But even in a single parent household, masculinity has a place because as individuals, we're made up of both masculine and feminine energy.
I knew you was gonna go there.
Right. So, you know, I think that that's the point, and it's not necessarily a clashing. I think it's more of a balance. Whereas, like, even in same-sex couples, there's a balance of masculine and feminine energy, just as there is in, you know, opposite sex couples or non-gender binary couples or whatever the case may be. There is a balance of masculine energy and feminine energy. They help each other.
See, and that's the thing. I knew you was gonna go that route, more so when it came down to just the word masculinity, because whenever you hear masculinity, it's always mostly coupled with a male. You don't think of a female as masculine, or, you know, in our situation, like we said, growing up, seeing a lot more of single parent households, you see majority of women with the children. And in my case, that's how it was. Like our family is predominantly all women.
Right. We don't even have like uncles.
Yeah, there's not really any uncles. No uncles. We had one or two.
Right.
Both passed away.
Right.
Outside of that, there's about 4 cousins. That's including me.
Right.
4 or 5. In our major, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the immediate family.
Right.
And we've always, like, when we were younger, we were closer around each other. Some of us were more closer to each other, but we're all 4 years apart. Oddly enough, our entire family is 4 years apart. So number one, shout out to the women, because some way or another they found a way to get us all 4 years apart.
Except Shay. Shay messed it up.
Oh, she did.
She messed it up.
She threw it off. Yeah, our older cousin Shay.
Shout out to Shay.
Yeah, she kind of threw that off. But all of us are 4 years apart. And so with that 4-year gap, a lot of times, like if I'm 14 and you're 18, we're not going to really be around each other that much.
Right.
At times I felt like, because me speaking of masculinity, I'm going to speak on the man's aspect of it. And I'm not trying to take no fire or anything from any females that see themselves in a masculine sense or anything like that. But me as a man, I feel like, especially with today's age, the way society is, you can't really be too masculine. Because when you are, it's this whole movement of like cancel culture and everything else that's around that. If you're a man and you're proud to be a man and you show you're a man and you beat your chest for being a man, it's frowned upon with a lot. It's attacked. Like, and then they have that new term, which is what is it? Toxic masculinity, where it's like you're over the top. You're just too manly, too masculine, and now it's an issue because it becomes toxic to society. So I feel like in some things, it has come to a place where masculinity isn't really the same way that it was like when our grandfathers or you know, people in earlier generations grew up with.
Right.
It's different to me now.
Yes, and I agree, but I'm not sure that it's a bad thing. I think people oftentimes find problem with masculinity. Like me personally, when I'm taking an issue with masculinity is when it is toxic. And I think at, you know, some of its roots, it was misconstrued a long time ago, and that it evolved into something very toxic, because oftentimes you have to look at the way society defines a man or what it means to be masculine. And that is troublesome, because especially if you look at some of our prime examples of masculinity, oftentimes the man is, you know, more manly or, you know, more masculine based on the things that he's able to conquer. You see these men and they're, oh, he's a manly man because he won this war or he fought this battle and he won this. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that sure, there's no problem in that until it bleeds over into other things where you see men defining their masculinity on how many women they can conquer or how many people they can conquer. And then it becomes harmful. You know, it's difficult to exist in that space where someone is asserting their masculinity over you in a way that is aggressive, or it's clear that you're being seen to them as a conquest.
Right.
And when people's masculinity feels threatened, it becomes even more aggressive and even more toxic, where it's like they ignore their feminine energy. And it's like, you can't ignore that you are made up of a man and a woman. You know, two people came together and made you. You have feminine energy in
Now,
you.
when you say that feminine energy that they begin to ignore, like, what do you, like, you talk about like a sensitive side? Do you think men need to get more in touch with their sensitive?
Sure. I mean, I think that that's a part of it for sure, but I think it's just, what's the word I'm looking for? Give me a minute. It'll come to me. But I think, yeah, sensitive is a great way to look at it, because I feel like a lot of the times you see these men, like today we were talking about makeup, or even like some men will see a man paint his nails, right?
Mm-hmm.
For that person that paints their nails, that's a way to express themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I am being, you know, I'm gay or whatever the case may be. But you'll see a man who was like, oh, I'm a man, I'm masculine, that's gay. And it's like, I'm just expressing myself.
Well, see, the thing is I feel like it's a blurred line with that, because that's more of a woman trait. Like when it comes down to like accessories, as far as like accessorizing your nails and things like that, I feel like that's just something that makes a woman feel more in touch with her feminine side, the long nails, the long eyelashes, the, you know, stuff like that. When men step into that reign, expression or not, like, you really starting to take on a lot of traits of what you see women do on a daily.
Sure.
So for a man, you know, growing up, or even for a grown man who has grown, like with me, I know when I was younger, I was like really, really, like, I would have been considered what most would have called probably a homophobe. Just because growing up, and I'm gonna be honest, growing up, especially in the black community, it's really, really frowned upon. Like,
Right.
you know, gay is always going to be a term that's going to be used in a derogatory manner. Even if it's a joke or if it's not, you know, even if it's something that you feel like is like, if it's a color that isn't a nice color or whatever, you know, somebody be like, I don't like that color gay.
Which is problematic.
Yeah, and I understand that. It definitely is, but it's engulfed in the culture. And I mean, it's going to be time before it changes. With just like a lot of other things that we have. But as I grew up, number one, just ending up in different schools, being around different people, especially when I went to college. When I was in school, that's when I really had to begin to accept that there's different lifestyles for different people.
Right.
And it wasn't anything wrong with it. Because at first you always like, it's this stigma in the black community, especially with men, in the prison society, in everyday life, in the streets and everything. It's like two or three things that you never want to be considered. You never want to be a snitch. You never want to be any type of child predator, and you never want to be gay. And that's just kind of was, and it's not even really a lot in the household that teaches us that.
Right.
It's more so just the culture of what surrounds you, like in everyday life, out in the streets, school. If you've been to prison, you definitely like, oh no, I don't even, because the kind of rule of thumb always is that even if it's not true, if somebody says like that person's a snitch, or that person's gay, or that person did this with kids or whatever, you immediately, it's almost embedded and taught to us that you cut ties. You don't even give them an opportunity to be like, oh, well, this isn't true, It's just kind of like, hey, yeah, you know, your name, you got some schmut on your name, and then your jacket ain't all that cool, and I ain't messing around with you.
And I think I get what you're saying, and I've identified with it. I think what we have to ask ourselves then is, why is it problematic? Because when somebody thinks of a person, especially a man being gay, because everybody knows there's that double standard where, like, you know, men seem to be more accepting of women being gay than they are of men being gay. And that's because of, you know, homoeroticism and how it finds itself fitting into heteronormativity. But when it comes to like a man being gay, that's that giving away of that masculinity and giving in to men. That's that giving away of that masculinity and, you know, taking on more of a feminine role, which isn't always necessarily true. You can be attracted to the same sex and still be masculine. Just how you can be attracted to the opposite sex and still be accepting of your feminine energy. But there's just so much stigma around it because there is a lot of negative connotation around being a woman. You know, we even have sayings like you throw like a girl.
Yeah.
Or stop acting like a girl, as if that's a bad thing.
Right. And the thing is I just think that that's more so just embedded in men. Like, it's just something that always, like, because number one, I mean, now don't get me wrong, there's some women out there that's strong as hell that could probably outrun, outthrow, outfight, outswim, out whatever, a lot of men.
Right.
But as a man, you're naturally taught growing up, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster than women.
And that's
you can't play with women as rough. You can't do this with women the same way. You can't be aggressive with women the same way you would be aggressive with your dudes. If you at the basketball court and you playing with a chick, you're not going to be playing the same way that you would play with a male. Unless it's weird though, unless it's like one of those scenarios where you look at her like one of the dudes.
Right.
And even in that case though, if you look at her like one of the guys and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick her because she nice. It's one of the guys.
Right.
You still would never lay down and let her beat you though. And I get what you're saying where it's a stigma where people be like, oh, you throw like a girl, or you this, you that. But if you a dude and you know you stronger than a woman, then you shouldn't be looking like you throwing less of a woman, because then in society's eyes to the rest of the men, which I feel like it ain't nothing wrong with men being alphas. Like we definitely should be alphas in a lot of things. But if you looked at like, hey man, you letting the girls outshine you in a lot of stuff, you kind of lose that alpha male that's in you.
See, I don't think there's anything wrong with men being alphas, but I don't think there's anything wrong with women being alphas. I think there are a lot of times the way that I look at life is about balance. And, you know, even when I think about relationships and bringing it back to like a family or a core unit, you know, I think about balance. So whereas, you know, my partner and I come to a space, I'm going to be strong where he is weak and vice versa.
Right.
I don't think that any person can be strong all the time or a leader all the time, especially in a family situation. We're supposed to complement each other. I should have tools in my toolbox that you don't have,
right,
and vice versa.
But see, that's kind of like the unspoken rule for men, though. Like you, at the end of the day, even if the roles may be reversed, where the woman may be the breadwinner, the woman may be a natural leader, the woman may be as much as an alpha as you, all of that stuff may be good, but at the end of the day, it's still looked at that regardless of whatever's going on, at the end of the day, even if you have those moments where you're not the alpha for a second, you have to be able to turn that on and pull your family out the mud and be that protector, that provider, and everything. Because as I said on the previous episode, just as men, and I know egos can be a negative term, but egos are the same thing that get us in the positions that we in as far as jobs. Egos are the same things that get the women who fall in love with us because they see something in that ego that pushes us to that next level to be better than the next person or better than the next guy. Our egos naturally make us want to feel like we're needed. And in being needed, that's when, oh, you can't open that pickle jar? Let me get it. Mm-hmm. Oh, you need help moving this? Let me get it. Oh, it's a problem outside of the house? Don't worry. Your husband or your boyfriend or your brother, whoever's on the way. Like, even with me growing up, I probably was overbearing because by me being the only male, I wanted to make sure that regardless of whatever happened, nobody was ever going to be able to say, oh, I did this to Blake's mom or his sisters or whatever, and he let it happen.
Right.
Like, I was never, I would have laid down and died before I allowed something to happen in my home to my loved ones. The same way I am now about my wife and my kids.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Like,
Right.
Regardless of whatever the situation may be. And we're taught that just at such a young age because, like, with me growing up with my two little sisters in the house, I couldn't roughhouse with y'all the same way.
Right.
I couldn't take y'all outside and rip and run up and down the street, play football, play basketball, do all the stuff that I wanted to do. I couldn't do that with y'all because I was taught, like, hey, these are girls.
Right.
Like, you got to be delicate with them. They're flowers. They're, they're this, they're that. So, and I understand women are strong.
Right.
But at the same time, if I would have went as hard as I was going, like when I was wrestling with my friends, I'm pretty sure I would have hurt y'all. And then I would have been looking like, well, why you do that? Well, I can't say, well, I'm trying to teach my sisters how to be strong as me.
Right.
Because I don't want my sisters to be as strong as me. I want them to be strong. I want them to be strong-willed and things like that. But I understand that I'm a male. And there's physical attributes and physical things that I'm going to go out and conquer for them that I don't want them to have to deal with.
But there are physical things that women have to conquer that men will never deal with.
Yeah, I mean, for
like
sure.
Labor.
Well, yeah.
Period cramps.
Right, for sure.
All of that things. And I think, people mean well, maybe, with some of the things that they say about women, or even like chivalry and all of that stuff, where it's like, you're being a gentleman and stuff like that. But it's almost like, I don't want to say offensive, but sometimes it's like for example, and mommy got so annoyed with me about this, but one time I was on a plane and I had my bag in the overhead compartment, and we were deplaning, and I was getting my stuff. I put it up there, I'm getting it down, and this man just comes out of nowhere and gets it for me. And okay, thank you. Like, I appreciate it, but it's also like, I can do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, did I look like I couldn't do it? I know what you were trying to help me, but I can do it. Like, I got it. And I think it's better, instead of assuming that I couldn't have done it, it would have been better if he asked if I needed help and given me the opportunity to be like, no, I'm good. Or, because not only are you touching my things without my permission, I don't know you, you could run off with it, you're in my space, you just kind of took something, like assumed something. And I know that he was trying to be a gentleman and be helpful, but, I could have done it.
And see, I think that becomes more of, I feel like in that sense, that becomes more of a new modern age generation. I'm not going to say flaw, but more of just their everyday movements.
Way of thinking.
Yeah, because the thing is if you do that with a woman that's in mommy's generation, or even a little bit after mommy's generation, it's absolutely fine. It's commended.
Right.
It's like, oh, that is, that's good. You did what you're supposed to do. Oh, you on a, because it goes different ways. Like, you could be standing up on a bus and a woman comes in and she flying all over the bus or flying all over the train trying to keep her balance. And if you don't give up your seat, then you looked at like, man, what's wrong with this dude? Like, you see that woman, or she got her kid or whatever, and you don't give up her seat, then it's looked at like, what kind of dude is you? You could have, and the guy's looking like, well, there's a lot of other people that could have gave their seat up too.
Right.
But I'm one of those people that would have gave up my seat. Like, it's cool, I stand. It's me by myself.
Right.
Not saying that you can't hold yourself up or keep your own balance, but I would prefer you to sit down, because that's what I would want somebody to do for my mama.
Right.
But like the new age woman, I feel like because of them wanting to break the barriers and the stereotypes and show that their feminine, I'm probably about to say it wrong, their feminine side femininity, however you say
Femininity.
that. Femininity. That's too many.
Femininity.
Yeah, that. Them wanting to show that, hey, I am just as much as a lioness, hear me roar. That's when it becomes like, hey, I didn't ask for your help. Don't touch my bag. Don't do this. And it's like, okay. And then that's when you kind of looking like, bitch,
But
I just was trying to help you.
The thing is, like, I appreciated it. And I appreciate when a man holds the door for me, or, helps me with something. But it's always just that little thought in the back of your head. It's like, did you think I couldn't do it? Or did you just want to help me because that's the kind thing to do? And I think a lot of the times men have this notion, like you were just saying, like, girls aren't as strong, or, stuff like that, which, isn't true. Like, we can be strong. We can do the same things that men can do. And that's the problem. And that translates over into other things where you see women getting discriminated against because we're women, because of that thought. That's a little thought in the back of your head that seems small, like, oh, I'm just helping her with her groceries, but you're really thinking she needed help with her groceries, when, like, even if I had to do 5 trips, I would have gotten the groceries up by myself.
Right. And you know what, to be totally honest with you, I understand that and I get it, but then I also feel like that's an ego trip for women. Just like men have an ego trip with certain things where they just like, hey, I'm a dude. I can do this. I can, if they trying to move something or pick something up and somebody try to help, no, I got it.
Right.
Or if you're trying to fix something and somebody be like, here, let me see, let me do it. And you be like, well, hold on, wait. You want to try to fix that on your own before you pass it on, because your ego's like, I can do this. Don't try to act like as if I can't. And I just feel like that is more of a inward thing that can go both ways, because at the end of the day, I'm guilty of that. I do it with my wife. I know how my wife likes it. I do it with, a lot of things. Like if I'm here and women come over, like we got a gate that sections off from coming upstairs with the dog and our kids. We don't want them to fall down the stairs or anything like that. If they get to that gate and they got bags and stuff in their hands, I naturally will either move the gate and grab the bags, or I'll just grab the bags so they can step over the gate.
Right.
Because if my mom walks in here, that's the same thing I would do with her. If my wife comes up the stairs and she got stuff in her hands and she about to step over that gate, I'm taking the stuff out of her hands and I'm popping the gate open.
Right.
Just naturally, because it's like, that's just the way that mommy raised me to be.
And that's good. Like, I think that is good. I know mommy was not teaching you, like, help her because she can't. Right. She was teaching you to help because that's the good thing to do as a good person. Like, even us will help. Like, I'll see an older man with something, or even somebody my age, if they drop their things, I'm going to help them pick them up. Because that's just how, like you said, mommy raised us. Because we know if we have any example of, like, women can do anything, it's mommy. So, like, for you personally, you don't have that bias or that thought. But there are men that do.
But see, and then also that with mommy being so headstrong and mommy being so driven, you run into issues with that as well, because me and mommy, we'll get into it over certain stuff. Like, I'm like, I go warm the car up, da-da-da-da. I don't need you to do, I'm like, hey, I'll take the dogs out, da-da-da. No, I can do it, Right. And it's just a show. Or our auntie, 60-something years old, and she'll go out there and still try to cut the grass before she lets somebody else do it. Right. Or even down to my mom getting wood for the fireplace. She's 60-something years old, and
60,
she'll be, tell her age. I didn't say 60-something. She, but she'll get out there, and black don't crack, so give it up to her, because you would never know she's that age.
And she just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah, happy birthday. This was actually supposed to be shot on her birthday, but it ended up being the day after. So happy birthday. But she'll still be out there, and I'll be on FaceTime talking to y'all or whatever, and I'll see her bring in a branch that's 8 feet tall, and she'll get in there and saw it. Right. With a hand saw, like, not with like a powered saw. Like, she in there cranking like a lumberjack, cutting through wood. Like, y'all, I watched her dismantle and cut up y'all whole Christmas tree. Right. And burn it.
And that was the thing, though, like, we were joking with you when we were on the phone, and we're like, we're about to cut up the Christmas tree and burn it, and you were like, with that saw, what y'all gonna do with that? And we're like, we're about to do this,
Right.
and we did it, and it was after the fact. We were like, we really did
Y'all
that,
did that.
like,
Right.
and I think that's the thing where it's like, I think a lot of the time women can be counted out, or it's like there's this assumption that we're gonna struggle or that we can't do it, and maybe, you know, sometimes it's not there, and maybe sometimes it is, but in our heads, we definitely know that, like, there are people out there that count us out.
I think you can.
Exactly.
And the thing is with that is, it's just like, you know, sometimes you just have to sit back and look, because we both are, you know, creatures of habit. So if we are doing things a certain way all the time, or taught to do things a certain way all the time, we also have to remember that it's something that brings us happiness and joy.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, even down to my wife, it could be something she going over, or something that she really got on her brain, or something that's on her plate, and she really, really, really is struggling, like, to figure it out, or she may just be really, really just in her thoughts, or kind of stressed out about it, like, I need to figure out how I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, A, W, Q, all of that together in that order, and decipher everything and put it all together. And I'll be trying to, you know, throw my little inputs in there, give my 1, 2, or how to do this, how to do that, da 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 da. But then, because of her nature, growing up, you know, single mom, stuff like that, seeing a woman push, just like with our mom, seeing a woman push, take care of multiple kids, make it happen, work a job, come home, cook, take me to basketball practice, football practice, baseball practice, track, take y'all to dance.
Right.
You know, y'all in high school completing college courses, all of that. I feel like that's what really drove y'all to be the women that y'all are now. Because y'all seen that struggle and that strength that it built in women, being able to say, hey, I could do this on my own. I don't need it.
Right.
But I also feel like it becomes very incendiary. Like, it's just a bomb waiting to explode when a male steps in to your picture and he's like, hey, I can do this. You ain't got to worry about that no more.
Right.
And the woman is like, I don't need you to do this. I've been doing this for this long on my own. I don't need you to. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in ourselves, as far as the thought of, do you think less of me that I can't do this? Instead of thinking, it just brings this individual happiness and joy to help me.
To help me. Right. Right.
Some people are natural givers.
Helpers. Yeah.
You know?
Right. And I see what you're saying. Sorry to cut you off. I see what you're saying for sure. And I think that, especially in romantic relationships, there's a way to honor that part of your partner, while also honoring the part of yourself that wants to do it. You know, because sometimes you do want to conquer things on your own, you know, like, and you were conquering things on your own before your partner. So it's like, I honor that about myself, and I also want to honor that you want to help me. And I think that there is a way to do both without, you know, completely shutting your person out, you know, of your life, because you are used to doing things on your own, and that's the way you've done it. Because I think that most people can appreciate help, you know, like when you get down, like boil it all down, it's like, put the pride aside, put the ego aside. Most people can appreciate when someone is just genuinely helping them out of their goodness of their hearts. Like, I don't know anybody that would be like, I don't want any help if I, like, even though I need it, I don't want it, you know? So I get what you're saying for sure.
And I think, speaking on that, just the natural joy of conquering something and the natural joy of happiness, you know, it's always going to be that stigma with happiness and what derives happiness and where happiness comes from and what can provide you happiness. And kind of just moving into the next thing that I definitely wanted to hit on was, with happiness, a lot of people, like, they still always have that cliche slogan of money can't buy you happiness.
Right.
Which I see to an extent. Money can't buy you happiness. But I can tell you one thing, being broke and poverty is not going to buy you anything at all.
Right.
Like nothing. Like it don't matter what it is. Like you can't purchase anything with poverty.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like happiness, in a sense, with that money can't buy you happiness thing. In a sense, I feel like it's kind of a upside down quote.
Mm-hmm. Explain that to me.
Because it's a lot of things that if it's something that you really, really wanted, and if it's something that you really, really said, I'm gonna get this, and I'm gonna stack, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna grind, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I never forget that when we were younger, me and Ty used to talk, and we used to always say like before when we hit 30, I used to always say like we gonna have upper scale cars. Like by the time we hit 30, I'm like we gonna be riding in foreign cars, something really, really nice, something, exactly what we lived by. And we lived that. By the time we hit 30, we had accomplished that goal and hit a monetary status to where we were able to purchase the vehicles that we wanted, having two nice foreign cars. And it made me happy.
Right.
It makes me happy going outside, hitting my lights and seeing my car light up the way it does, almost as if it's happy to see me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I go hit my headlights and that baby shine and light up that whole back parking lot and I'm looking at it and it look like its eyes looking back at me,
Right.
that generally makes me smile.
Right.
And that comes from the monetary side of it, the money side of it, like being able to accomplish those things.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're supposed to say material shouldn't make you happy, but material would definitely make you happy.
Right. And I'm thinking, okay, so that's an example of constant, like it's a constant thing where it's like you see that your car every day and it makes you happy. But I'm also thinking that a lot of the times when we purchase things that make us happy, it's normally for a limited amount of time. And then it fades and then we need to buy something else. And that is the very foundation of capitalism, which is another conversation for another day.
Right.
But, we normally like, say I really wanted some shoes. It's like, okay, I work really, really hard. These shoes, I really want these shoes. I really want these shoes. And then I purchase these shoes. And when I purchase them, I'm happy. And then I wear them. I'm happy. And then it's like, okay, now I want another pair of shoes. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think I get what you're saying for sure. Like, and even more so with like experiences, like when we pay for experiences, like traveling,
definitely,
or like taking a cooking class or a painting class or something, like there's this momentary, like there's moment of happiness or joy. But I think that like lasting happiness is something that, and we've talked about this before too, where everything that we need to be happy is available to us.
Absolutely.
Whether you're broke, rich, somewhere in between.
Internal.
You have everything within you available to you to make yourself happy.
Right.
Now, doing the work to achieve that is a separate, different challenge. But I think just existing in our physical bodies, we get very caught up and interested in the physical, and we see that as like the goal, the path. It's like, okay, physical things, tangible things that I can touch, a person, a car, a pair of shoes, whatever the case may be. We're like, that can make us happy. But I remember having a conversation with my dad once, and he was talking to me about his time overseas serving in the military, where he saw people that had nothing, like didn't even have floors, like no shoes, dirt floors, dirt ceilings, and they were genuinely happy. Yeah. And he told me, happiness is a state of mind just as much as being broke is a state of mind. Right. You know what I'm saying?
But see, and that's the thing with that. I definitely get what you're saying. I agree to an extent, but like my family, I come in, I see my wife, I see my kids, genuine happiness. Just exploding with happiness all the time. Playing with them, wrestling with them, stuff like that. But when I walk in and I walk in with a T-shirt that my wife got when she was out of town. And she bought me this Miami Beach T-shirt. She took a little girl's trip. Shout out to her little girl's trip she took and left me at home. It's cool, though.
Leave them at home. Leave them.
But, so I got my little Miami shirt on, and it came in a bag that said Miami Beach on it. And that bag was sitting on the side of the bed. And one day, I'm taking the boys up to put them to bed. And I'm about to lay them down. And my son looks over at me, and he reads the bag. And he's like, can we go to Miami Beach? And I'm like, we sure can go to Miami Beach.
Right.
But I'm a big believer in, we can definitely go, but I want you to be old enough to remember and understand and experience Miami Beach, what's going on.
Right.
Now, my wife, on the other hand, is like, you could be 2 years old. You want to go to Miami Beach? Let's go. You'll remember. And I'm like, he's not going to remember. We get into it about that all the time. But that's something else. But in that situation of him, and this wasn't like something that was just like a quick moment of a thought, something that he had and then it left. This was something that he said every single time that he's seen that bag. Financial, monetary, tangible is what makes that happen.
Right.
That's what brings that happiness when we go and I see my son light up having fun, or we talking about the plane ride, and we talking about the experience, and we talking about, hey, you remember when we flew to San Diego and we went to the zoo, and we show pictures, and it's like, hey, this was your favorite hat. You wouldn't put this hat down. You wore it every single day we was out of town. You know, for a 3-year-old, and my other son being 1 at that time. Matter of fact, Max was turning 3. And Mega was 1. Just taking them out of their element, going from Ohio across the world, well, not across the world, but across the United States to California, that wasn't possible without the monetary means behind it.
Right.
The joy that moment brought, that experience was purchased. Even though us being together in a unit is what made it that much better, but us being out of the state as a unit together, enjoying things that was out of our norms, is what made that experience that much better. Or even like, I was big on weekend vacations. We didn't have to, like, I used to, every time we had an opportunity, a weekend where I wasn't working, we ain't have nothing to do, or sometimes it wouldn't even be planned. Like, I would just come home and I'd be like, tomorrow, what you got going on? Well, I gotta do that. No, we disappearing tomorrow. Disappearing, yeah, we disappearing. I'm booking a hotel. We gonna go to Columbus. We gonna go to Cincinnati, or we gonna go to wherever. You know, we going somewhere. We getting out of here. We going to Sandusky. We going to wherever. Those things aren't possible without the monetary behind it. You can't smile gas in your car.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
You can't internalize
Food on the
that food that we ate when we was out of state, that was like, my son is going to remember that. Or the hat that he got while we was in the zoo, or the pictures that we took. Those things can't just be dreamed into fruition. Right.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the frustrating thing. Like, that's one of those things. You have those things that, like, if you start thinking about it, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things that I think about a lot, is how, like, nothing, like, I'm about to sound so annoying, but, like, nothing is real. Like,
it's a simulation.
Like, money is not real. Race is not real. Gender is not real. They're all socially constructed things. But the experiences that we have or do not have because of them are so real. Like, poverty is so real.
Definitely real.
Even though money is like, it's just this made up thing. Like, it's literally paper that someone decided a value for. But, like, the experiences that people have because they do not have this fake thing, or because they do have this fake thing, is like, they're so real and they affect us in so many ways. Like, I think about that all the time.
But I mean, that's real though, because at the end of the day, to be totally honest with you, money and all of that, like you said, it's not real, but it definitely has its place.
Mm-hmm.
And it has its purpose.
Right.
Especially living in a country that we live in that's based off of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is based off of you want, you buy, supply and demand.
Right.
You want, you buy. It's not even necessarily a need. It's a you want, you buy. You want, you buy. You want, you buy. And it's certain things that you want your family to experience. It's certain things that you want your loved ones to be able to say, I remember when we did this, or I remember when we did that. Or, you know, me and my wife, we travel. You know, we go and we have a ball.
Right.
We get a chance to let our hair down from the everyday norms that we have to be in on a everyday basis. But even though, in a sense, that's not our reality, because it's just temporary, that temporary happiness that we already are happy, but that temporary addition of happiness that is like, I experienced something outside of my happiness that brought more happiness into my situation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have money to do it.
Right.
I mean, you can't travel without it.
Right.
You can't, you know, if even with emergencies, if emergencies happen and you out of town, or you want to go out of town, or a family member's out of town and an emergency happens, you can't just get up and say, I'm going to go.
Right.
If you don't have financial stability to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those odd things.
I got a sidebar. You just talking about having money for an emergency. Have you seen all the GoFundMe's of the people
everywhere
trapped in Atlanta?
I seen that.
From All-Star
And this
Weekend.
was crazy. This was crazy. They put their money up to purchase an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, they went beyond
They ran out.
their means.
They just ran out.
And then I seen a GoFundMe talking about, I'm stuck in Atlanta.
Stuck in Atlanta. It's so many.
And I need $1,300 to get home.
And it's all like, they're all around the same amount. Like, it's like $1,500.
And I'm like, come on, be real. Like, to be honest with you, that's a scam.
It is. It's 100%.
Because where you going unless you live in China
for $1,300.
for $1,300 to get from Atlanta?
It was a post. Somebody said, you better get on that dollar bus.
Man, listen.
Give me a bomb.
Look,
Give me a bomb.
I give you a bomb for the dollar bus. Because it's just crazy, because at the end of the day, people, now that whole Atlanta experience with All-Star Weekend, it's an experience. Which shout out, because it'll be in Cleveland next year. And we definitely going to be downtown at the game. And everything else that's going on. But the whole scenario of being able to experience that out of town, having fun, enjoying yourself, sitting down and eating. Because when you go out of town, you're not cooking.
Right.
You going out to restaurants. You trying foods. You drinking. You having fun. You partying. Unless you going out of town for like business. And even some people for business, they go out here, they handle their business, and then they let their hair down.
Right.
It all, at the end of the day, falls into your purse or your wallet.
Yeah.
So whether it's you and all your friends collectively putting that money together to make it happen, or you just saving up to make it happen, I feel like at the end of the day, that cliche of money can't buy happiness is in a sense false. Because I ain't gonna fake. When we took mommy out for her birthday, when that bill come to the table and you see that bill and you know, regardless of whatever you went out and ate that night, whatever that bill's gonna be, you got it to cover it.
Right. Yeah.
There's no better feeling than that.
Right.
Like Pac said, it feel good putting money in your mailbox.
Right. And it's true. That's true. But I think that just speaks to a larger problem in our society, where it's like some people, you know, based on that, some people can't have access to that sort of happiness.
For sure.
Which is really the messed up part about it. And it's difficult. Like for people who are born into poverty, especially in extreme cases, it's difficult to attain wealth.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a caste system where it's like you are stuck
Right.
in your level wherever
Right.
you are. It's super difficult to attain wealth, especially wealth that lasts. So it's like, you know, you're absolutely right. You know, having financial stability and financial security, especially for people who may not have ever had it, is definitely, you know, a source of joy. But I don't know. I think that really speaks to a larger problem in our society.
And you know, it's always gonna be those people that's like, hey man, you know, if I had all this money, I would give it up tomorrow to be able to do this and do that. No, you wouldn't.
Right.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't empty out your bank account to do that, because if that was the case, America and everything else wouldn't be in the debt that we in now. Because if you just took that much joy in seeing people smile, and you like, man, I'd give all this up tomorrow if I could, and except for like some scenarios where people be like, if I could see my brother again, or if I could see my dad again, I'd give all this money up.
Right.
I feel like some of those are true. Because that person may not have got a chance to enjoy that monetary success with that loved one. But the one thing I do want to say about that, as far as like money and success and being born into a sense of poverty, especially like you said, extreme cases where it's just like you trying to get out of it with no ladder at all, and you just looking like, how I'm gonna climb all the way out of here. I feel like you have to almost become and give yourself a sense of joy to keep yourself from going crazy. Because if you sit there and you keep thinking about, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, oh, that's so much better than mine, that's so much better than mine, oh, his girlfriend is better than mine, she look better than my wife, or I wish I could buy that car, I wish. If you consistently always thinking like that and you're in those bad cases, unless you're using it as motivation to pull yourself out of it, if you're just always thinking about where you lack all the time and you're not using it as a motivation to pull yourself up or build more self, you kill yourself.
Right.
Like you completely lose yourself in thinking of all the things that you don't have that the next person does have, and it'll drive you mad.
Right.
And I feel like that leads into the main thing of us looking at scenarios and thinking, because I feel like Cleveland is really, really big with this. And I feel like everybody from different cities has the same feeling. And I feel like they always have the same notion of wherever you're at, you have to leave that place to be able to succeed. And I feel it's that way because, as you said, if it's poverty or it don't even have to be poverty. It could just be having less than that other individual, or seeing somebody begin to succeed. A lot of people automatically turn that into, I see you going up and I'm not going up right now, so your success is my failure.
Right.
And I feel like that's just a crazy way to think about it, but we are hardwired the way we are as humans. And when you begin to see a person that started here with you and they're moving this way and you're either still here or moving this way,
right,
you begin to feel like the more you succeed, the more I'm failing. And I feel like it's that crabs in the bucket mentality, to where if you see somebody on the rise, or you see somebody trying to build their self, or you see somebody trying to move upward in scenarios or in life, you automatically want to grab hold of them and either pull them down, or you make sure you go out your way not to help endorse anything they're doing or help them succeed anymore. Like, you already going up. You don't need my little help to go up any further.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that just comes from, like you were saying, we're just so used to comparing everything, Whereas like where that person is has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Like, and we just are so used to, and I'm, you know, I fall victim to it too, especially since being in dance and stuff, you kind of like measure yourself up to the person next to you. Like, okay, well, she can do this, but I can do that. And it's kind of like this constant battle, which like is unhealthy because you guys are two different people on two different journeys. With two different histories, more importantly, where it's like, you don't know where she came from.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely give us a shout out for that journey, because people don't understand your journey don't have to go in the same direction as theirs for you to feel happiness or success.
Exactly. And I think it's been really hard too, especially in this pandemic, where you'll see people, you know, getting opportunities and stuff like that, and you're sitting at home like, where's my opportunity? You know, like, I'm still here, but that doesn't mean that you cannot congratulate that person, because I think it's also just, you know, shifting your mindset. And this is something I'm working on too, of like shifting my mindset to a mindset of abundance. That resentment and that jealousy comes from this deep rooted thought that there's not enough room for everybody. There's enough room for everybody at the table. You don't have to concern yourself with when he or she gets to the table, because even when they get there, there's still going to be a spot for me. I'm going to have my own spot, or I'm going to have a spot at a different table, or I'm going to make my own table, or maybe I don't want to be there at all. So I think that's really where it comes from, is like this mentality of like, one, I have to compare everything that they do to me, and how do I measure up? And it's bad both ways, whether you're measuring up to be like, oh, I'm better than them, or you're measuring it to be like, I'm worse off than them. Is bad both ways. And it's also just knowing and really understanding that like there's enough room for everybody to succeed. There's enough for everyone.
And you know, that's the thing too though. A lot of people don't realize that it's enough room at every table for everybody. But at the same time, you have to be the one to pull your chair up and put your plate down with something on it for somebody to get something off your plate, as well as you take something off their plate. Some people just don't want to do that. They just want to sit back, get to the table, and enjoy the feast. And I don't think they understand that it's a give and a take. And even when some people rise, I feel like at that point, some people will forget and be like, hey, you know, I'm here now, and you're there. You're not allowed to sit at my table, or you're not allowed to have these conversations, or, you know, you're not allowed to, don't bring a paper plate to my table. We eating off fine china, you know? So I just feel like a lot of times people, number one, it's a back and forth struggle, because if you are doing well, or you're just plainly happy, because doing well doesn't have to mean monetary gain. It doesn't have to mean that your bank account's the fattest, or things like that. I remember seeing something where a dude said his mom kept telling him, like, you need to do this. You need to get a job. You need to get a job. You need to get out. You need to stop doing what you're doing. You need to get a job. And his response was, I have a job. I'm just not getting paid for it yet. He's chasing his dream. And I respect that, because at the end of the day, it's like, that is your job. That's your goal. That's what you strive for. But don't get sidetracked with seeing the other person move in a certain way, and you're like, oh, I got to catch up with them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for competitiveness. If that's one of the things that drives you, if you just have to sit back and beat yourself up a little bit, and it's healthy, I don't have no problem with that. If you have to sit back and really look in the mirror and say, look, you just tripping. You're not living up to what you're supposed to live up to. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Even if you have to compare yourself to other scenarios because you know your potential. And I know this is going to sound crazy, where you look at somebody else like, ain't no way in hell they should have got here before me. If that's the way you feel that way. And push yourself to do that and move to the next step. But don't never feel like, now I'm resentful of an individual, or I'm resentful of somebody, because even with me growing this podcast and me trying to grow my brand and me trying to succeed in certain things, Like, you get more love from people that you don't know. You get genuine love from individuals that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of that sense of, I feel like if somebody started the race right here with you, and they see you going up and up and up and up, and they see you moving, and they see these strides that you're making in life, and when they see you every single time you moved from this equal space to this space, from this space, it may be a lateral move over to this space, but you're still moving in a direction, and they're still here. They hate even more because now they have to see that you're moving and they're still in that same place where you left them.
Right.
And it's not even necessarily I'm leaving you. It's just I'm chasing this rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And you doing what you doing.
Right.
And I'm not knocking you for that. But don't become resentful or get into the state where you're like, oh, you cool already. You don't, well, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to promote your page. I'm not going to buy merch. I'm not going to attend events. I'm not going to, whatever it may be. Because a lot of times, like, when people have their own businesses or their own brands and they have launch parties and stuff like that, it be some of your closest people that's to you that won't show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it give you the craziest reason. I ain't have an outfit.
Right.
What?
Yeah, that's sadly an internal thing, though. That is them being unhappy with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oftentimes stuff like that has nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your success and, like you said, it's them. You're not telling them that your success is their failure.
Mm-hmm.
They're feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing that you've moved over here and they're still here, and they're like, that makes me a failure. And
Right.
that's difficult to deal with.
Right.
Like, and especially to look it in the face like that, where it's like you're having an event, you're doing something, and I have to show up and grin and, try to experience joy for you when this is nothing but a reminder to me of my inadequacies.
Right.
So that's why a lot of the times it's like that, because it's like, you remind me of where I could be.
Right.
You remind me of where I should be,
Mm-hmm.
even though my therapist tells me should is a dangerous word.
Right.
You're a reminder. You're a reminder to me, and that's difficult for people to deal with. Whereas it's like, if I don't have to see it, if I don't have to look at it, I don't have to be, reminded of what I didn't do.
Right. And what's even crazier with that is I feel like in society we romanticize tragedy and we romanticize people just falling short so much that we find joy in drama.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, and one thing is, so if you turn on your TV, you change the reality TV, you change to Love and Hip Hop, whatever it may be, you're not sitting there just to enjoy them spending their money. Now, don't get me wrong. You're seeing nice things and stuff like that. It makes you, for some, it motivates.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just like, damn, I can't wait till I reach that point.
Right.
Or damn, I can't wait till I go outside and I don't only have one car smiling at me. I got 4, 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm to the point where I lose keys.
Right.
It's people that literally, you can ask them how many cars they have and they'll be like, I truly don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he like, what? That's like asking somebody how many pairs of socks they got. It's like, wow, who counts socks?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who count cars? Like, it's people who like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like so many people see people at a height, but they want to see them fail so much. Or even not even down to that. I feel like we glorify just seeing negative stuff consistently. Like, the only reason everybody watched this new interview with, and I know I'm going to say her name wrong, Meghan Markle.
Yes.
Now, I only seen clips of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the full story, so I'm not going to go in a whole lot on it.
Right.
But I did see clips where she spoke on, like, the family, showing racism, questioning about how dark the baby was gonna be. I seen clips where they was talking about they didn't provide them security during their travels or whatever that may be. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
But I did see where they were saying like they didn't provide them security. And I even saw like Tyler Perry provided them security or something like that.
Yeah, I
don't
saw
know.
something about that too.
I don't know how true these things are, because I'm not privy to that type of information. Except for what I see around. But I feel like the only reason people wanted to watch that so much is because you have this dynasty of a family that lives above most people could ever fathom of living. But now you get a chance to see the dark underbelly of the inner workings
Right.
of their unit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we love that. Like, we love dramatics. We love drama. And there, like you were saying, there's something so dramatic about seeing the fall of like this giant, or like seeing their imperfections, because we identify with that, where it's like, if you see someone who's like, oh, like that person that just always has it together, never has an off day, never looks bad, never, when you finally see that little crack, in the exterior, it's like, I identify with that, because that's how most people feel all the time. It's like, I feel like that crack that you just shown all the time. Now I can identify with you. You're not as perfect as you try to appear to be. Most people want that, connection with a person. And it comes off negatively because you are hoping for someone's downfall.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you absolutely are. And they say misery loves company. So it's like, if I'm miserable, a lot of the time people think if I'm miserable, then you should be miserable too.
Yeah.
Be miserable together, which is really toxic.
And I feel like with that, it really just grows this culture of people who just feel completely disconnected. Where it makes you, once you hit a certain level of success, or once you find a certain level of happiness, you naturally, certain people just fall to the wayside. It's almost like they weed themselves out, because either you'll catch them consistently doing something where you're just like, that's questionable as fuck. Like, why would you do that? Or they'll just stop coming around as much. Right. Or they'll be saying like little sly statements and stuff, like when it comes down to like going out or having fun, or the clothes you got on, or the car you drive, or the places you want to go and stuff like that. And then you like, come on, like,
right.
All right, I don't want to do the same stuff you want to do. I didn't move past that.
Right.
I want to do something else now. So let's, and I see it so much. Like, so with Cleveland, we have, which I think is probably like this in other states too, but I know Cleveland's for a fact. The Cleveland, Ohio Remembrance page. Shout out to them, one. Because, I mean, they definitely keep you informed on all the fuckery that's going around in the city.
Yes.
And then every now and again, you'll get a sprinkle of some accomplishment that somebody may have had in the Cleveland area. But then you'll turn around and, like, if you guys go on the Cleveland Remembrance page today, and I know I'm giving them some free pub, but if you guys go in there today, like the first 10 to 15 posts you're going to see on there is car accidents, robberies, shootings, murder, robberies, another murder, house caught on fire, everything got burnt up, they need a GoFundMe, $13,000. Like, it's all tragedy.
Right.
And I feel like that's what draws people to go on there every day. It's people that literally go on there every day because they wake up thinking they're going to see somebody they know on there.
Right.
Getting sentenced for prison, or, hey, I grew up with that dude and now he on the Cleveland Remembrance page for that.
Right.
And like I've sent stuff to the Cleveland Remembrance page, and I'm on y'all ass because it be stuff where I feel like if we gonna push this negative all the time that people want, let's have a balance.
Right.
Like, I feel like, and it's not just because it's personally me. Well, it is. It's personally me. Fuck that.
Repost my brother.
Yeah, for sure. It's personally because it's me. It's a lot of stuff that I've sent them that are positive messages as far as, breaking cycles with Black community, as far as multi-parent households and giving yourself self-worth and understanding who you are and never stop chasing your dreams, stuff like that.
Right.
Quick minute of a video, a clip for a minute of just a section of the podcast where it's like, hey, throw this up on y'all thing. Not only am I getting the promo to help grow my brand, but the main thing that I always say is somebody woke up this morning and they need to hear this.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Somebody is sitting at home right now thinking what I'm talking about and maybe thinking irrationally, and they need to hear this.
Right.
And it's like you send them messages and stuff and it falls on deaf ears. But if I was riding down the street and seen a car flipped over from a police chase and I'm recording it, and all you have to do is in that quick snippet say, it's an accident on, 79th and Kinsman. Y'all check your folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there.
Yeah.
And within an hour, 2,000-3,000 views.
Right.
150 comments.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just with like any news source too. Like, it's all about sensationalizing stuff, whereas like that shock value,
Fearmonger.
seeing a car crash on your timeline is more likely to stop you than seeing like someone talking about something positive, even though you probably need to hear that positive thing. If it's not like, we have our super short attention span. So it's like whatever is going to grab my attention, a car crash, a rest in peace post, whatever, a mug shot.
Right.
It's all about getting likes and clicks and engagement on the page. Unfortunately, that's how people run their pages.
And that's cool. But Cleveland Remembrance page, repost some of my shit.
They will.
Yeah, I got faith in y'all though.
They will.
I got faith y'all gonna get it out
They
there
will come
somewhere.
around.
And even if it's not Cleveland Remembrance page, if you got a nice little following, or you don't even have to have a huge following. If it's something that you took from something I said, man, post that.
Right.
Put it out there.
Right.
Let people hear it. It may be that one time when somebody was at home alone, struggling, and they hear those couple words as they scrolling through their phone, and it changed them, or it changed they aspect of everything that they see at that point.
Right.
You don't even have to be on your phone. We could be sitting in this room together, and you playing it out loud, and I'm sitting here in my thoughts about shit that I got going on, and I hear it, and it touched me. So it's just like, and yeah, don't get me wrong, and I'm unapologetic about this. Yeah, I am trying to grow my brand.
Of course.
I am trying to get me out there to the masses because this is something that I like to do and I enjoy doing.
And that you believe in.
Yeah, and I'm pushing it because I believe in just people having the time to sit back and express themselves. So that's why I push for people to comment. I push for people to give me topics that they want to hear about, because everybody wake up in the morning with a piece of stress that they carried on from the day before.
Right.
Or that they picked up that morning that they like, or throughout the day that they picked up. And sometimes that stress can be alleviated by just hearing that, hey, I'm going through the same struggle you going through, or I went through the same struggle that you going through. I'm here for you. I'm all ears.
Right.
Put your burden on me.
Community.
Yeah, let me talk about it for you. Let what you want to say that you probably can't say. You may want to talk about your job, but in fear of being terminated, you may not be able to say it. Send that shit to me.
Right.
I put them on the chopping block. Hey, XYZ, get it together.
Right.
People ain't happy with it, whatever it may be. I'll do it.
Right.
And the thing is I just want people to understand that, because it's a lot of people that are losing loved ones to them just not feeling connected to everyday society.
Right.
And that connection doesn't necessarily have to be well, their loss doesn't necessarily always have to be, oh, they committed suicide. Sometimes those losses are they just disconnect.
Right.
And they become estranged to loved ones.
Right.
We have family members that we don't talk to.
Right. And now more than ever, too, with, everything going on with coronavirus, we don't get to see each other and connect in this way. So even more so, having these platforms where it's like you can, commiserate with someone online or on a podcast are really important. You saw how we all came together around this time last year when there was no going outside. People really came together on these platforms just to share in how they were feeling, because we all were having the same experience, except for a few people who had huge houses and could travel and do, but most of us were trapped in and felt trapped.
Right.
And we were able to identify with the next person to be like, oh my goodness, I just want to go outside. So bad. I just want to see other people. I just want to hug another person.
Right. And see, that's that thing, that sense of community. Because one thing that I've noticed that since COVID, and I even seen somebody put on there, this has to be becoming a challenge now, is the rate of drug usage and alcohol usage has spiked. And what is the flip side of the drug usage and the alcohol usage is car accidents are insane in Ohio. I'm talking about every other day. Back to that Cleveland Remembrance page. If you go on there, it's a car flipped, a car that is careened into a pole, a car that is ran into a store, a car it was just a young lady that on 140 that was from 145th in that area in Kinsman. Sorry if I got the street wrong, but somebody hit her with their car while I guess she was crossing the street, and they just kept going, and they still trying to figure out what happened and how it happened. People just was out here living a lifestyle of, they became stir crazy. And that bit of freedom was just releasing the dog into an open field. They just was running and happy. It's so much ground to travel. I don't know how I'm going to travel it all, so let's do it fast.
Right.
And let's get drunk and let's get high and just have a ball. And I'm not saying nothing against drinking and stuff like that. My situation is different because of my past scenarios and my past situations. I can't drink. Right. I can't go out and smoke and stuff like that because of my obligations with the courts.
Right.
But for those who can, just do it responsibly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's one thing I'm going to say. The community that you want, the community that you're looking for, and the community that you miss, it definitely is not going to be them courts. Because when that community come, they coming for your pockets and they coming for your everyday living.
And they waiting for you.
I can't do nothing without asking that part of my community that I didn't want to have a part of, but I have a part of them now.
Right.
Or they have a part of me, should I say. I can't do nothing without their permission.
Yeah.
I can't travel without their permission. I can't be in bars if there isn't a certain percentage of food sales to alcohol sales.
Right.
I can't be in certain areas with certain people who may be, current felons, firearms, a lot of stuff. Right. So don't open up that door because you missed the community that you had before because everything's on pause. Don't open that door for somebody else to grab a hold of you and take control of your life. But not only that, the financial burden it is. Luckily me and my wife were in a situation to where financially I was able to keep myself on the streets. Mm-hmm. But if our situation would have been different, I probably wouldn't be sitting here now.
Right.
I would probably be sitting in prison, finishing up a term because of my own foolishness.
Right.
But I've learned my lesson.
Exactly.
And I know not to put myself in those situations again.
Right.
But it puts a burden on your entire family as well. Mm-hmm. my wife may spontaneously say, hey, let's fly out here, go do some shopping, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. I can't do that until I call them people.
Right. And if
ask
they
them.
decide.
And they have to decide to say, hey, you can travel. It's okay.
Right.
Or I may wake up in the morning and say, you know what, today I'm chilling back. I'm going to sleep in. But I get that phone call at 7 in the morning. Hi, this is such and such with Blase Skip Municipal Courts or the Court of Common Pleas. And you've been randomly selected today to come in for a urine sample. You have to be in by this time or the judge will issue a warrant for your arrest. Blah, 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 blah. You don't want that voicemail.
No.
You don't want that message. You don't want that phone call.
No.
Just, change the way that everybody's doing stuff. And I feel like this alone, me speaking on things like that, somebody may not know that the money that it takes that you have to pay for probation.
Right.
Somebody may not know that you have to pay before you can get off. You have to pay all your fines. You have to contort to whatever programs and things that they tell you that you have to do. Mm-hmm. A lot of people may not know that, not to mention the attorney fees and things that you have to pay. It's a headache. It's an unwanted headache. But messages like this, I feel like, can change the thoughts of our community and make people think twice. Now, you're going to have some hard-headed people.
Oh, yeah.
That's still going to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. But it may be that one person that may be sitting there like, oh, hell no, I ain't trying to.
No.
Why? I got to call them and ask them, can I leave the state?
Nobody wants to do that.
Like,
especially an adult.
Yeah, like I gotta call y'all and say, hey, I'm thinking about going here. Okay, where you going? When are you going?
Right.
How long are you gonna be there?
I don't even
Who
have
are you
to ask
staying
my
with?
mom for
Exactly,
permission.
like who you staying with?
Yeah.
What hotel you'll be at? Okay. Who are you going with?
And then after all of that, they could still be like, no.
And then what's so crazy is they may be like, yeah, it's cool. Your probation officer may say, yeah, it's cool. But then if you go out there and you get pulled over, you get stopped or whatever, you have any type of police contact whatsoever, you got to call them. Yeah, I had police contact. What police contact? I got pulled over. For what? Speeding. Oh, okay. Technically, they can violate you for that. Mm-hmm. Don't put yourself in those scenarios. Don't live those type of lifestyles. It ain't worth it.
Right.
It kills aspirations and dreams and opportunities when you have to live that way.
Mm-hmm. I can only imagine.
Yeah, so don't the main thing I'm saying is don't allow these temporary situations to let you make lifelong decisions.
Right.
That can change your whole outcome of how you move and how you live. And you, in some situations, being a convicted felon, there's certain countries that I can't go to, stuff like that. If you are convicted of a felony, you can't go certain places, things like that. Now, my situation was different because of things that the courts worked out for me and my attorney worked out. Mm-hmm. But in other people who don't have the means to be able to do that, they may not never see Canada.
Exactly. And most people don't.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have effective representation.
Exactly.
You're done. The courts can basically do whatever they want to do.
Exactly. If you don't have the means to say, it's crazy because in my situation, it was like, okay, well, you could go sit down and do this amount of time, XYZ. Oh, hold on, you got this money to pay that? Okay, well, we'll just start out with some house arrest for a month. Mm-hmm. We'll give you that first, and then we'll go from there. But if I didn't have that money to pay for house arrest and pay for an ankle monitor, then I would have been sitting while I was going through court, sitting in jail.
Right.
And sitting in jail, not feeding my family, not seeing my family, not living life, not being able to strive for the goals and the aspirations and things that you want to have. You can't do that sitting in jail.
Messed up.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that that I want other platforms to put out there for people to see and understand.
Right.
That there's so many other ways to move about in life. And there's so many other things that you could be doing where when you think you're going to do something or you feel like you got that gut feeling of this isn't right or I shouldn't go do this, don't do it.
Right. Exactly.
Don't do it.
Exactly.
Stick with your community. Stick with the people that you know. Stick with the people that you love that you know is going to tell you, hey, hell no, get your ass back in that car.
Right.
Or no. Put them keys down. You're not driving.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with those people. Don't open the door for the other people that's going to say, oh, yeah, you're not driving because we're not going to allow you to drive ever for the next year, 2 years, or 3 years.
They ain't gonna give you a choice.
They ain't giving you no choice.
Not at all.
So it's just stuff like that. And I'm just glad that I have the opportunity to have the platform that I have because I feel like so many people become estranged and they don't have the support system like I had to be able to understand that people love you and people need you. And it don't have to be a financial need. It don't have to be a physical need. Sometimes somebody just want to be able to call you when they want to call you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people just want to be, they don't want to have to wait and make sure that you tell them, hey, tomorrow I'm going to call at 7:30. Make sure you're around your phone, or if you're at work, try to take your break at that time because that's when I'm going to call so I can get through to you. But I only got a certain amount of time to be able to make this call, so I want to talk to you, but I want to talk to somebody else too, so make the three-way call. But that three-way call could get disconnected if they figure that you calling two people at the same time. Don't give them that control.
Right. You want your freedom.
Yeah, you definitely want your freedom. You want your own living. You want everything. And that's the main thing that I in that statement with like the Cleveland Remembrance page and stuff like that. Because, yeah, they show a lot of this stuff where people out robbing and people out killing or, car accidents, drunk driving and stuff like that. People lose their lives. But they don't show the flip side of what goes on behind the closed doors.
Right.
When that happens.
Right.
They don't show the flip side of you sitting in a house all day long on house arrest, or you sitting in a cell all day long, or you sitting back draining all your financial means and stuff like that to try to take care of cases and stuff. They don't show a lot of that. So I just want y'all to just understand that, and whatever y'all going through or whatever situations that it may be or however y'all feel, reach out to somebody.
Absolutely.
The $1 Million Dose page always there for you.
Of course.
DM me. Send me a message. Comment. Go to the YouTube page. Comment on there. Subscribe. Just sometimes peep in. Hear something that you may needed to hear.
Right.
Get something that you may be able to drop off on somebody else. Or send me a message and tell me something that I missed.
Exactly. Discussion. That's what it's about. Discussion. I think that that's really healthy, to have input from people from different points of view.
Exactly.
To enrich yours.
Don't feel disenfranchised.
Right.
Your words is just as important as the next person's.
Exactly. And everybody has access to a platform now with our social media.
Definitely.
You can do whatever you want with your platform and say whatever you want with your platform.
Definitely.
And, it's special that you're making yours open to other people. So, like, what you're trying to say, but you want to hear what other people have to say, because that will enrich what you're saying.
Right. And then the thing is some people may not have the strength or the opportunity or the courage to say some of the things that they go through, or they may not just want people to know who it is that's going through it. I'm just coming from a sense of being non-judgmental. Like, ain't nothing that I feel like that can steer me away from getting the issue on the table that needs to be talked about.
Right.
I mean, I done seen just about all of it. I done had my little run-ins with all type of situations. I ain't never sat down for no real prison time or no shit like that. So that'd be something that'd be new as far as conversation outside of like, my brother and other people that are around me that have been in those situations, that have done time, sat down, stuff like that. But just send it in, because you open up certain things. Like, even like I said, back to the Cleveland Remembers page. Like, I send them information to try to tell them to let's promote good things. And like, as you're scrolling, you'll see something from a podcast that's not even local.
Mm-hmm. They gonna wake up.
They better wake up.
They'll post you soon.
They gonna wake up.
Sooner or later, they will.
Or sooner or later, they're gonna be asking me to post them.
And there you have it.
For sure. But it's just like, hey, I have fun doing this. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy having people come in. I enjoy the conversation. I feel like we had a real good conversation today.
I think so.
I think we hit a lot of good things.
I think so too. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, I feel like somebody's going to get this. They going to feel good about it. They going to enjoy the conversation.
Take something away from it.
Yeah. And I mean, we going to have our times when we sit down and we have fun. And we going to have our times when we sit back and we try to talk about real issues, real stuff that's going on in real everyday life.
Right.
No fairy tales.
No.
So I definitely enjoy this. Enjoy having my sister on here. Enjoy having a conversation. And we definitely got to get her back, because it's a lot of other things that I feel like we could really, really dive into that are real shit.
Absolutely. That word got stuck. Absolutely. And I enjoyed myself so much. I'm so proud of my big brother.
I appreciate that. I'm always going to give myself a bomb.
He's doing great.
I'm trying.
Episode 7.
This was episode 7, Clash of the Titans. We had fun. If it's something that y'all thinking about, that y'all want to talk about, I say this every episode, DM me, comment, follow the page, subscribe to the YouTube page. Just send any information, ideas, whatever. If it's something on the show that you feel like, hey, maybe you should try that, go ahead and send it to me.
And if you find DMB.
Oh, Lord. I almost gave you a bomb for that nonsense.
I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
But this was good. This was episode 7. Of course, we're going to check out. But before we check out, we're going to check out with some real good tunes. We're going to sing y'all out with some good vibes. And can't wait to see y'all on the next episode.
I can't wait till I'm back.
For sure. We're going to get you back soon. Oh, we're going to put it up. But you got to drop your Instagrams, your @, and all that good stuff.
My Instagram is @Samara, SAM as in $1 million dose, ARA .steele, STEELE. And yeah, that's all I really use, Instagram. So
Instagram.
find me there.
So yeah, definitely check her out. Follow her. If you got jobs, as far as stuff with what was your major in dance? Was it
dance? Just dance.
Just dance.
All kinds.
Well,
choreography.
We ain't gonna say all kinds. Some wild dances out there.
All kinds.
Oh hell no. But definitely, look her up. Look at her page. Check out some of her previous stuff. Some of her previous routines and things, choreography that she's done. Super proud of her. Happy to have her on. Definitely enjoyable conversation. Absolutely. And even when this camera go off and this thing go off, we still gonna talk. So we gonna let y'all hear some music, and we gonna keep popping our shit. Catch y'all on the next one, episode 7.
Can't bite my tongue, say what I please. Diamonds dancing up my sleeve. Dropped out school just ain't for me, but I still know my ABCs. Pills of X, got O's and P's. Catching plays, you catching Z's. Trapping out the double tree, just counted up like 40 G's. Ace of spade, let's have a toast. That's $1 million dose. Run up bands and do the most. Still breaking bread with all my folks. Jewels every time I spoke. Zaza every time I smoke. Slept on floors when I was broke. Now I give all my people hope. Food for thought, go grab a fork. VIP look like the fourth. Beat first, I jumped off the porch. We slide on ops like it's a sport. Crack infested, racks invested. Count my blessings, learn my lesson. Odds against me, God was with me. Up a mid and buy a Bentley. Chop it with you, give you gain. You just like me, you feel my pain. it with you, give you game. You just like me, you feel my pain. Ace of spades, let's have a toast. That's $1 million dose. Run up bands and do the most. Giving game to all my folks. Ace of spades, let's have a toast. That's $1 million dose. Run up bands and do